right, coming up on this week's episode of the Rip City Roundtable podcast, we called the doctor. He's coming in to talk. Aaron, the Dr. Brown, gonna chat with us about everything Blazers. Like, Aaron's the best. Known him forever. He's one of my best friends. Aaron's gonna come in. We're gonna chat about what else? The draft, right? This is the Blazers Super Bowl. This is what we look forward to, is the draft. So here we go. 7th pick, 14th pick. What does Aaron think we should do? What is the team? What's the future here? Is this, preparing for another rebuild season? Do we trade half the team away to draft capital? What do we do here? So Aaron, we're going to get some insight with us, or he's going to talk to us, tell us what we should do. Maybe they just hire him to be the GM and just have Aaron make the decisions, right? I mean, Joe, move aside, let Aaron do it. He's a doctor. He has a PhD. He might do experiments and stuff like that, but he knows some basketball. So we're excited to have him on the show. I'm so glad you're here, tuning in with us, listening with us, watching us on YouTube now. You get to see my face. You can find me on the street. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. But we're so glad that you're here watching, listening, tracking with us on the Rip City Roundtable podcast. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back with the doctor, Aaron Brown. All right, we're back from break, and we're here with the doctor. I was going to say the Trailblazers team doctor, Aaron Brown, but you're not the
not even close.
If you were the team doctor, I'd be a little upset because we have a lot of injuries all the time, and I'd be asking you what the heck is going on with our knees and all the other parts.
Yeah, and as not the team doctor, I will say not my fault.
Not your fault. Well, hey man, let's just jump in here. We want to kick it off. The finals are going on right now. The Celtics are currently up 2-0 against the Mavericks, moving back to Dallas. We record this Wednesday, so it's tonight. The game's tonight.
Yeah, tonight. Yep.
Kristaps Porzingis, he's not playing. I don't know. He might be doubtful. I don't know if he's not playing or not.
Yeah, I don't know if it's officially announced or not.
Yeah,
I know that it's been back and forth.
They said weird injury, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But arguably, Aaron, the Blazers are should be huge contributors to this NBA Finals for the Celtics. We probably would get a ring if the Celtics pull it off, simply for the fact that we make this trade to them for Drew Holiday and basically gifted them perhaps the NBA Finals MVP currently. I mean, if the vote was to happen right now, Drew Holiday is probably the MVP.
Definitely for game 2, yeah.
Yeah, for game 2. But then there's other trickle down, right? We took away from them Brogdon, who was hurt in the 2022 finals. He didn't even play. And then Robert Williams, who always got hurt for them and for us. So we said, hey, give us these liabilities. We'll take them. But then the other thing that happened too, Aaron, and then I want you to get your opinion on these things, is if you remember last summer, there was a rumor going around that potentially Lillard gets traded to the Celtics for Jaylen Brown. That was floated around for a while.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that, yeah.
As a potential landing spot. And that, we have our soft spot for Mr. Lillard. But if Dame's on the Celtics team instead of Jaylen Brown, I don't think they're in the finals. If you say, hey, take Brown off, take Holiday off, you have Brogdon, Williams, and maybe there were some other players, whatever else, but then you just insert Dame on there. I don't think they're there. So we help them, but we also help them by not giving them certain players as well. So what are your thoughts on this?
So I forgot to think back to even earlier when Jaylen Brown before they extended him, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point as well. Yeah, I think, when that Drew Holiday trade happened, I was like, oh, okay, like I knew we were going to trade him.
Yeah.
And we got picks, so like you got what you wanted, but it just felt like, the Celtics, not the Celtics.
Not the
They
Celtics.
don't need the help.
Yeah.
No.
They didn't need that.
And that's fully come to fruition, right? What my concern was, it's like, oh, now we've just helped them fill up the only weakness they had, right? So
yeah, and they really are. I mean, that defense, they are always knocking the ball away, getting steals, rushing teams. I think that's what they do at the end of these games. It happened in the Pacer series, like where they rush. They can rush the opponent's guards to making mistakes, and we saw that with Halliburton turning over the ball. We've seen it here in this series, even interrupting Luka, taking Kyrie out of it. It's really been Derek White and Drew Holiday have been really the ones I think that have frustrated.
Taking Kyrie out has been a huge part of the success.
Yeah. But we did get Delano Banton from the Celtics.
Later.
That was later. So we got him, and Delano played well in the a lot of time in garbage.
Banton could be a keeper, yeah.
Banton could be so ha Celtics. Ha, we got Delano. But yeah, so you still think though in retrospect that was the right move. I mean, we had to make a move for Drew. We couldn't keep Holiday on the team.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how many teams they talked to. I'm sure Drew didn't want to start the season on the team knowing he was going to get traded at some point. So I'm sure there was some talk there.
Yeah. But
trying to get a team that could trade right away.
And you and I, we were talking about this on the phone. I think you and I both agreed the mistake wasn't the Holiday trade per se. It was, hey, we needed to flip Brogdon and flip Williams.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe even begin. I mean, for sure, Robert Williams, because that dude was going to get hurt. So, and especially in Portland, he was going to get hurt. So we could have probably gotten another first-round pick for both of those guys to some teams or something. Like, I don't know. I think holding on to them, that was the mistake.
Yeah. And I don't know what deals were out there. Probably nothing that they, could get picks for. I don't know. But you had to think someone was there, to take those guys. And obviously, especially Brogdon, with how many guards we had, was like an easy choice to move on from.
Yeah.
Robert Williams, I think there was hope that they could, see what they had there, and obviously the injuries.
Sure.
I think you're right in thinking we should trade him before he gets hurt. Yeah. It's probably the smart play.
Yeah.
But I could see why they would hold off on that.
For sure.
Excuse me.
I think Cronin, and this is my assumption, but they're all competitors, right? And the beginning of the year, everybody is 0-0. So everybody has the same record. And he might have been thinking, man, you look at the practice facility, you see all the guys in, and you're like, wow, I mean, you can start to talk yourself into this. You're like, well, we have Ayton, Robert backing him up. We have this young Scoot who we don't know exactly what we have yet. We have Shaden, we have Simon, we have Brogdon. We got these four guards that, besides Scoot, Sharp, Simons, and Brogdon, these guys are players. I mean, they're legit good NBA players. And then you don't know you have your Scoot. Then you have Tamani, who's young. Like, I could see Cronin probably say, let's give ourselves 11 games. Let's if we can start the season
11.
I picked a weird number. If we can start 7-4, or the season before, I think we started 10-2. I think before Dame got hurt that 2 seasons ago, and I bet he was like, let's just see, what we have before we really just start trading all these guys. And then I think Williams gets hurt in like game 9, which at that point I think we were like 2-7. So I think we knew the season was over at that point. So, do you think part of that played into it, Aaron? Like, these guys are competitive. They want it. Maybe we have a team here. Let's not break it up so quickly.
Yeah, I think there is let's see what we have. And also, I think a lot of teams that you would potentially trade with are thinking the same thing about what they have, right?
Yeah.
Before they're wanting to. That's why a lot of trades get done either early in the off season or at the deadline, because when you get to that point where the season's about to start, teams are like, no, let's see what we got.
Sure.
So that probably is hard to move at that point too.
Okay. All right. I want to move into the draft real quick.
All right. Yeah, let's talk draft. That's the only thing we have to look forward to.
The only thing we have to look forward to. That's what I will teach my son. You will teach your daughter as Blazers fans. It's like, look, the 2 most exciting times of the year for us are the draft lottery and the draft itself. Like, here we are. This is our thing. And then we win a summer league championship. But So we're moving into this. We have the 7th pick, the 14th pick. We have a couple second rounders.
Yep.
There's arguably probably first and second pick, Alex Sarr, and then Rishaze. I probably gonna say his name wrong.
Yeah,
the French,
I don't know how to say
the Frenchman.
Yeah. The two French guys.
Probably first and second. A lot of stuff can change. But then, literally there could be a player drafted at 3, or that same player could be drafted at 20. And nobody would be surprised by that. Where it's last year, you have Victor, and then you had Miller go 1 and 2, and then we had 3. I don't think Scoot was going to go 20th in last year's draft.
Yeah.
So knowing that, with all the variables that can come into play and some variance there and who to draft and fit and all that kind of stuff, do you think we should, we have the 5th pick. Is there a need we should hone in on? Or if you were the GM, if you were the doctor GM, would you just say, hey, let's get the best player here that has a ton of upside? Or should I get fit? Or should I get a character guy? What would be your approach to this?
Yeah, I do think we still should be drafting for best player available. The only exception is if it is a guard, we are very set at guard, young at guard, and obviously trying to fit in another rookie guard, that'd be tough. That'd be tough. So unless you're ready to move on from Simons, if you're I think we're going to trade Simons this year, then let's draft a guard. But I don't see that happening. I think you just draft best available outside of the guard. Yeah. And this kind of draft, what I hope that I see in my team, this is the kind of draft where a player is going to slide, a player that people think, hey, that's maybe a top 5 guy, and he's there at 14, and you're well, we haven't really looked at that guy. I don't know if we want him. Don't overthink it.
Yeah. Take
the guy that slid.
Take the guy. Yeah.
There's a reason that that the potential is there, so that's what scares me, because I've seen us pass on those slides before.
Yes, too many times. What are we doing? I think it was
but that's my hope, is that we do not pass on that.
Yeah,
inevitable slide in this kind of a draft.
Yeah, grab the player. I think in the past, when we had a guy like Lillard, who we kind of always knew, hey, he's gonna create a culture here that can bring in players that you have a draft guy that slides and his character or something like that. When you have a guy like Lillard, it's no, bring him in, because under his regime for the Blazers, he will get for the most part, he'll get players on the up and up, right? Character wise, kind of take him in under his wing. When you have a young team now, which you could say Brogdon might be that, or Jeremy Grant or something, to take swings on the character guys, I always thought that's not as big a thing anymore. Is it you? And I might be crazy, but I always feel 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that was the scary, oh, I don't know, he could be a bad locker room dude. And now I feel a lot of these guys are just so much more professional and mature than they used to be back then, because of all the services they get now in college or the G League and stuff like that. That I don't think that's really much of a thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any in the last couple of years, someone having trouble with a character thing. I mean, the only one is Ja Morant maybe comes to mind, but
Ja with some of his stuff. I know last year, Brandon Miller had some, he had that thing he was going through from Alabama. Where there was potential, but I think that was more a mistake that happened. How was the legal side going to play out versus oh, this dude's just a bad guy,
Right. Yeah.
So I think it was a little different. I like your take on. I think it's the upside. I'll talk about the point guard thing. There are some folks, some Blazers edge riders, some people that have been on this podcast who are it doesn't matter. Grab the point guard. If the point guard's the best player there, grab him. I am so against that. I unless it's just an another world talent, that'll be a mess for everybody. It will just be a mess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that's proven, where that's worked, where a team had 4 point guards that were all young, and then one of them rose to the top. These guys need room to develop.
Inevitably, you end up trading away a guy for less than his value. I'm thinking of the Kings with Halliburton. Mm-hmm. They had too many point guards, and they ended up trading maybe the best one.
Yeah.
because they had already had their guy was Fox, and so they were like, we're going to trade him, and they got a good player back.
Yeah.
That wasn't a terrible trade for them.
Yeah.
But still, like, you don't always get that value back when you're overstacked at a position. So
no, you don't.
I agree. I think unless it's just a huge gap between the next guy, I wouldn't take the guard. And in this draft, I don't think there's any huge gaps.
There's not.
So I don't think this is the draft where you do that.
No, you could take swings on potential guys that are not of that position, and nobody would fault you. Like, even if you miss, nobody's gonna ridicule Joe Cronin 4 years from now and be like, "Oh, you didn't take Stefan Castle? Like, what were you thinking? Like, that was obvious." It was like, "What? No, it wasn't. Like, you're crazy." I think the other part of this that's unique for the Blazers that's new is now that we have the Rip City remix, we have this G League team that's in Portland now. Whereas in the past, Aaron, we would draft guys, and if they were like projects, we would be sending them to Idaho. We'd send them to Texas. We'd send them, and it's, now it's the 21st century, so you can watch clips and you can travel easily and stuff like that. But there's something to be said about having your project guys, your young guys in town with you, working out at the same facilities as the pros. I think these projects can get brought along quicker or be more involved in the team because we have a G League. We have our own affiliate. We were the last team to get that. And so I think that's going to help here by us taking swings on some people that maybe are going to take a few years to develop, even if we have anything there.
Yeah, and I think I don't think our top 2 picks will end up right in the G League. Probably we're talking more like second round picks.
Probably second round. Although, I mean, like, you have like a Ryan Rupert and these guys from last year, like that Chris Murray, that were higher draft picks that still played, like, they played time with the G League, and I think you're gonna have, like, I could see our 14th pick. Let's say, because we both went to Baylor, let's say it's Jacoby Walters.
Yeah.
Right. And, Jacoby, great, like, tons of upside. He is probably one of the best athletes in this draft. I got to see him live one time. I think he has to develop some of the clutch time stuff. There were some times shooting free throws at the end of the game he'd miss, and it's like, I want to see that be good. But I could see him going to the G League. And they say, look, man, you run the team. Like, this is your team. This is the G League team. Because his talent's good enough to be on the Trailblazers main squad. But is he going to get much time? Probably not. So I think he goes, like, a player like that would be on the G League.
Well, so now you're making me think, maybe we can draft a guard.
No, we have too many. I will die on the hill that I believe we have the backcourt. We have Scoot. We have Shaden. That's the backcourt. I love Anthony. Anthony is we get attached here in Portland, as you know this, Aaron, where we see these guys develop, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, he's our guy. And my take is, I think Simons in his on a championship team is your sixth man coming off the bench. Like, I think that is where he is going to find his niche as, like, a Jamal Crawford or a Malik Monk. Like, he comes off the bench and just roasts the second unit. He can close games for teams, but I don't think he fits our team as that player right now because we're not close to being in contention.
Right.
So
totally agree, because I think that the skills he brings, right, he's not good enough to be the number one on a championship team. Right. And so you usually want your opposing guard to be, maybe more defensive or a spot up shooter, or like bring other things to the table besides, pick and roll, dribble, make plays. Usually you want that from your second unit guy, the guy that's going to lead your second unit.
Yeah.
And that would be like where he'd be above average for a second unit.
100
for sure.
100%. Take the Final Four teams this season, right? So you have Minnesota. You got Mike Conley, who's just a savvy veteran, right, at this point, and then Anthony Edwards, okay?
Right.
You get to Dallas, Luka, and then you have Kyrie. Okay, like I don't think Simons fits into any of those categories.
Right.
You go to the other side. You had Halliburton, who is like just that emerging guy. And then you have like, the other guard spot is kind of a rotation of people. So maybe Simons could have been on that
starting
unit with the Pacers, but they were kind of a surprise team to even get there.
Right.
And then you have the Celtics, who like the money on that team isn't put into the two guards. You have Holiday and White, who are like these defensive minded, like you just said, defensive minded, can hit big shots. So like those 8 guards right there, Simons, I think, would still be the best fit coming off the bench for all 4 of those teams, and would be like a terror to have to deal with versus being a starter.
Yeah, totally agree.
So I'm still against the guard thing. Don't draft a guard. What are we doing? Don't draft a guard. Don't grab the guard.
The draft, yeah.
My thing is, this is what I think we should do, and you tell me right or wrong. Okay. I think it's a drastic overhaul. I think it's unload Simons, Brogdon, Williams, and Ayton. Get rid of all 4, Aaron, and let's just bring in people under the age of 23. You get Klingon from UConn. We get another, we get a Jacoby or somebody else. Like let's just bring them all in, and then if you want to sign like a veteran to come on in, or keep Matisse Thybulle as like your like sage Gandalf kind of character on the team. Gandalf the White, then keep Matisse, because I like Matisse. But Aaron, get rid of everybody else. Let Jabari, give him the center minutes. Okay, draft a center, or give him the power forward minutes. Draft a center, give them the center minutes. Get Simons out of here. Get more guys rotation. Chris Murray more minutes. Like that's my opinion. I think it should just be a full blown get rid of the 4 veteran guys.
Did you left out Grant, or did you say Grant?
I said Grant. So Brogdon, Grant, Williams. Ayton is the only one where I hesitate, because I do think we have something with Ayton. I don't know, like Ayton at 28 years old or 29 years old, when Scoot and Sharp are hitting their like mid 20s, is Ayton still, because he'd have to hold on for about 3 or 4 years, and so that's where I worry. Is he that? He's great right now, but is he going to be the same impactful center in 4 years when these other guys are starting to hit their prime?
Yeah, he's still pretty young, right?
I think he's 25. I think he's 25.
Is he that? Okay, I thought he was younger than that.
I think he's 20. Hold on. Okay. Let me ask my assistant here real quick. But I think he's 25.
So, while you look that up, I'll say I am all for moving on from those guys. I understand they're not going to be on the future team, and when it's time, it's time, and it's hard as a Blazer fan to say that, but we can move on.
Yeah.
I think it'll be hard to move all 4 this year. I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Really? Okay.
Right. I don't know. I would. If the right moves are there, then great. I think we should do it. I think right now we could. Your point on Ayton, the other thing with him is I don't think his value is very high right now. I think a lot of teams don't value him. I think we could build his value up.
Okay. So one more season.
Yeah, like okay. if we can get him the ball more, get him, scoring better.
Sure.
I think that could benefit more value.
Okay, so he is 25 right now. Going to be 26 on July 23rd. So he will be 26 years old.
Okay, you're right.
Entering the season. You could convince me of that. If you want to go that route, you could get me there to say, let's keep DA for 1 more year. But I am like, you got to trade you get Robert. This is what I would do if I was Cronin. You get Robert Williams on the court for 2 games that shows he's healthy, and then you sit the guy and you trade him. Like you put him in bubble wrap. You keep him at home. You make up an excuse saying he got poked in the eye and he can't see very well right now. Like, you make up a reason not to put that guy on the court, and then you trade the man real quick to a team.
What do you think his value is, though, realistically? What do you think you get him?
I mean, it's probably like to a contender. I still think you can get a first rounder for him, but it would
be
yeah, oh yeah. But
like
I think
late first rounder.
But to like a contending team, so that first round pick's going to be 25, 26 or something like that. You know, like a team like, you know, you trade him to Milwaukee, for example. It's like you have an aging Brook Lopez. Maybe Robert Williams comes in and just shores up the back end of that defense with Giannis and them and makes that like, you know, they don't need him, right? So if Robert does get hurt, okay, but if they could play him 20 minutes a game, maybe that's impactful and can take a load off of Giannis or something. Just as an example of a team. But I think you still could get a first rounder, or if it's just like, okay, 3 second-round picks and salary to match, then do it. Because Aaron, he's going to get hurt. So it just get something.
Would you do that for like another younger prospect, like a Banton or something? That was
100%. I would do that as well. Yeah, I would do that as well. It doesn't need to be draft capital. I would take a younger prospect that maybe the Blazers are high on. This player doesn't get a lot of minutes. Trade for him because we got to do something because he gets hurt one more time, then it's over. He's just going to get released and picked up later by some team. Like, we won't get any value out of him. So that's what I would do with Robert.
Okay.
I don't know what your value for Simons and Brogdon. I think those have to be very much the correct kind of team.
Yeah.
You know, Simons for sure is first round picks. Like he's good enough at that level, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if anyone's even going to attempt trades to give up 2025 draft capital, since that's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket draft. So,
right.
You know, I don't know. I'm sure Cronin has calls, and he clearly, I think, has shown he does a good job. So there's things on the table right now. Just maybe they're just not good enough.
Let me take it a different direction.
Take me a different direction.
I don't think we'll do this, but do you think there's any possibility that the Blazers trade for a player, like an all-star level player, or
unless that player was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma State.
Well, that's not happening.
Oh yeah, oops, no, probably not SGA. I don't know, man. I think our focus is on these drafts because we just don't know what we have, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think we will, but I just am curious. I mean, it's in the realm of possibility. I don't know what Cronin's thinking. He may be thinking like, no, we can get some more competitive guys, because there's still talent with those veterans, like before you trade them away, if you brought in the right guy. But I agree with you. Like, I think our focus should be trying to develop the young talent so that we have a base to bring in a guy later.
Yeah.
And probably reach into the draft one more time in that golden ticket draft to try to get in there as early as we can.
Yeah. I think the only team that had a rookie last season that could take a swing is San Antonio, because I think Victor is already at that level, and I think they could have their eyes on not just like a play-in spot, but a playoff spot, and maybe even like a 6th seed or something like that, and probably could make a run if there were some injuries and stuff like that in the playoffs. So I think a team like San Antonio could take a swing for an all-star type player and feel okay. I just still think we don't know. I think you and I optimistically want to hope, man, Scoot and Shaden are going to be incredible in the backcourt, or Tamani is going to be the next Scottie Pippen or something. And so this is the season, man. Let's go for it. Bring in the all-star. But I still think we just don't know exactly what we have. And I think it's okay. It's acceptable to say, let's do one more year. Be bad. See if, oh my gosh, Aaron. I mean, we thought, maybe we'll get a number 1 pick this year, and ends up 7th. So it's like,
we moved back. I know, it's too bad.
So it's like you can't really depend on that stuff, but it's better than, I don't know, being
okay. We're saving it for next year.
Saving it.
Saving the luck.
They had that secret meeting, and they were like, "Okay, guys, like you get either,
you want it?
Yeah, you want it this year," and we were like, "No, pass it off." And they were like, "Okay, you always get bad luck in the draft, Portland. So we gotta make it look good. We'll give you 7th this year, and then you'll get the number 1 next year." So
yeah, right.
All right. So then your take still. So going back to the draft, that's where we started this. Is you're still thinking grab the prospect that has the highest ceiling, that's not a guard, or are you saying guard now because we have the remix and they can develop there?
No, I still think I would like us to take wings or centers or forwards. I mean, I think avoiding the guards is the way to go. I still stand by that. I just think you made an interesting point. Like, if they did take a guard, like, is that the path that they would be thinking?
Sure.
I don't know.
No, I got you.
But
I was trying to find this. I'm on all these like Blazers Facebook pages, and someone posted like, would you take Team 1 or Team 2? And I don't know. And Team 1, I wanted your take. I don't know. Did you see this? Or
no,
okay.
But I know like those kind of things they do. Yeah. Where it's like they have this, and.
So I'm probably gonna I'm gonna not get this 100% right, but it was like Team 1 was like Walton, LaMarcus, Clyde, Lillard. Oh, who was the last one? Clyde, Lillard. Well, okay, I'll go back. Maybe I'll get it. And then Team 2 was Sabonis. It might have been Sharp. Shaden might have been on the other team. And then on Team 2, it was Sabonis, Roy, Simons. Oh shoot, I don't remember. It was interesting. Oh man, I'm like totally blanking.
That's a good one. I do love me some Roy Sabonis.
I know.
Be a lot of fun. I don't even need to know the other two.
I know.
Just give me that one.
It's like I take it right there. Yeah, I know. I just to watch Sabonis and Roy be on the same team, I think that would just be amazing. So I probably would just take that. But I don't know, man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I know we're probably running close to short on time, but
yeah.
We didn't really talk any specific names. I've just kind of looked a little bit. I haven't really gone full draft mode.
Yeah.
Are there any guys that you are liking? Are you the names that we've been associated with, like Klingon and Williams and like, what do you think of these guys?
No. Adrian last week on the podcast, and when I had Steve DeWald on the show too a couple weeks back. I mean, I'm probably like Cody Williams feels like a good swing at 7, just because of he's big, he's a wing, he has his brother Jalen Williams in the NBA, and Jalen is, depends on who you talk to, second or third best player on Oklahoma City, who's the number 1 seed in the West. So it's like there's some pedigree there. Might as well. Like, let's take a swing. He's a Colorado guy, doesn't mind the West Coast. So he is a player, and again on that wing spot where we do need help. Again, Tumani, I think is going to be our guy, but we need depth at wing. All these teams have depth at wing, so we need that. And then, Donovan from UConn. I mean, I think the big guy, he's a defensive-minded dude. He, again, fits in that range of he's all over the board, which tells me that you can talk yourself into him being a defensive player that can make an impact, or he's a bust, which a lot of these guys are either one of those. So, but as long as they fit in that category, sure. So, like, if and then Jacoby, just because I've seen him at Baylor, and he can score a ton of points at the wing position as well, which really we don't have. I mean, if Chris Murray kind of keeps developing, Tamani needs to just get his 3-point shot down, but we get just a scoring dude. He could put some weight on. I mean, he could be like a Jaylen Brown in 3 or 4 years. I don't know, like a Tatum, but so those 3, I think I'm pretty interested in. Khalil is an interesting one as well, but and then I heard someone was talking today about Ron Holland, who is again like is such a wide breadth of where he could be drafted that again that there's that potential there. But if it were me, I like Cody Williams. I think the team really likes him. I think we would go in that direction. And then we grab a big man. Let's get a wing.
So you think at 7? You think Cody Williams as early as 7?
I think it's 7. I think
you don't think he'll be there at 14?
I think if you want Klingon, and they're both sitting there, I think Klingon's gonna fall. That's my take. Okay. So I think you grab Cody because I don't think he would be there. I don't think you go Klingon and then Williams. But then I think there could be capital to say if you wanted to grab a third player from this draft, because there is an interesting like strategy. Aaron, you and I are both big board game players, right? And we love strategy games. There's a strategy here to lean into like the weak draft, quote unquote, and teams might be more reluctant to give you draft picks, but in a weak draft potentially. But there could be a Giannis here, so. Should this be a draft where you can get more swings at it than you could in 2025, where people are going to like hold real tight? Now you could say, "Here's Brogdon," and it's okay, great. We'll give you 2 picks in this draft because it's a weak draft. Now you get 4 swings at potentially an all-star caliber player. That, for value wise, kind of makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, time will tell.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Just my thoughts. One, okay, so Williams, it still bothers me that he comes off the bench in Colorado. It's not like it's like a packed school. I know he's still, young and obviously room to grow. He could become like his brother Jalen Williams. That's not guaranteed.
No.
And I also thought I didn't see him play much just in the tournament.
Yeah.
But he was like a no-show at the tournament. I mean, I didn't really see anything there that was.
Yeah, they were one of my dark horse teams there. I remember you and I had a very similar bracket, and I think it came down to it wasn't a Colorado game, but it was I forget what game it was, but anyway.
Well, the Oregon one was big. I think.
The double
Oregon
overtime.
Creighton or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Now I'm going to be in a bad mood today. Now we need to let's wrap this up. You're right.
Ended up not mattering because we both did terrible.
So bad. I think I was the chump. I was last place.
Yeah.
No, I think. I mean, okay. So the first player that comes to mind, and I know that this Kentucky team was stacked, but Devin Booker came off the bench for Kentucky.
But yeah, that was on a stacked team.
I know. So as I'm saying, but I'm just saying, he came off the bench. He could be humble and come off the bench. I still think there's talent there. I know. Yeah, Colorado wasn't this 1 seed with tons of players on it, so it made sense. But Aaron, in a draft like this, let's just take swings. Let's just get as many at bats as we can for cheap at bats. Because Giannis is there. This is the 2013 draft. Giannis is there, Aaron, at 17 or 15, wherever he was picked.
Yeah, so, I'm just not sure Williams is the swing I would take. That was going to be my point. I don't know why. Just more of just a feeling. Just all right. It's not sure. I think the reasons he's high are not the reasons that I like. Well,
okay,
like you said, like this like pedigree of like
the pet. Yes,
I'm not buying it.
And I'm not saying that always proves out to be right. More times than not, there's like one brother that's good and one that's not good. And so it's like, you either have Brooke Lopez or you have Robin Lopez,
exactly.
And we loved Rolo, but he wasn't Brooke.
Nope.
No. So, okay, I want to end on this. So you're the Dr. GM. You have 7, the 7th pick. If you're not liking Cody, who are you going with then? Where are you going to lean towards?
Yeah, it's a good question. I have not come to like I like this guy moment yet.
Okay.
I think it is, like I said, people are going to move around in that draft, and I do think it will depend a lot on who's there.
Yeah.
I do think I need to look at more of these international guys because I think there's going to be some gems there.
Sure.
And that might be where I end up deciding, but I need to. They're a little harder to research. I got to get in there and find out more about them. So
there was this someone posted online. It was like on Twitter or Instagram or something where it was like they were like, "Remember when this happened?" And then they had a clip from when when Jokic got drafted, and he was like the 41st pick or whatever he was, and all it did, there was a ticker at the bottom that said like, Denver Nuggets select Nikola Jokic, and then there was a Taco Bell commercial playing, and so it was basically like, remember when Jokic got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial?
And
it was just hilarious, and I was like, gosh, that's so crazy. Like you have, like he's the best player on the planet right now, and second rounder, and just who could have seen that coming? So. Just insane, man. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's exciting. This is exciting, and we'll see. And maybe Aaron, maybe Scoot takes a jump and we start the season 30-0.
Come on, let's go. Let's get hyped. Let's go. It's time. Let's go, Scoot.
It's time. Someone, one of our guys here at Rogue Media, he does another show. He's a big Celtics Boston guy. And we were talking. He was like, when's the last time? Like 77. Because we did a show about Walton. So we were talking about that.
Yeah.
And he's like, how long has that been now? And I was like, dude, 50 years? It's been.
Don't do that.
How long? I can't even do the math in my head. It's been, I think, 47 years. Am I doing that? 47 years?
Yeah.
Jeez. So, I think once you get to like 50 years, you start getting put on those graphics on Sports Center, teams that haven't won a championship.
Yep.
But anyway,
long gap.
It starts here in the 2024 draft. So,
all
right, doctor, go back to seeing patients and doing what you do. I know it's a different doctor, but go do your thing. Doctor. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem, bud.
Always fun to chat and catch up.
Love it. Thanks, dude.
Let's go Blazers.
Go Blazers. All right, that's the episode. We're so thankful. Big shout out to Aaron for coming on the show. I've known Aaron almost my entire life, so this was great. One thing, man, I wish we had the Rip City remix when I was a kid. In high school, we would have had all of our friends would have gone to those games and just been out of control to those G League games. Sadly, we're old and we didn't have that, but we're so glad he was able to come on, give us his perspective about what should be happening. Asked me some great questions, which is awesome. And we'll see. We have about 2 weeks before the draft. We'll see what moves get made. If Simons gets moved, if Ayton gets moved, Williams, Brogdon, what happens here? So we'll be excited. We'll get to see that. We'll come back next week. We'll have some more good takes as we continue to dive into the draft and all the players moving up and down the mock draft board. So anyway, thanks again for tuning in to the Rip City Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Corey. We are on Rogue Media Network. Big shout out to producer Mike. Even though he's a Spurs fan, that's okay. We love him anyway. And as always, it's a great day to be a Blazer.